I think there are several trends that are affecting business and business education. The most obvious, and the one I'm sure that everybody is talking about, is globalization. And I think what people have overlooked is there's not only been a globalization in the product market, but there's now really a globalization in labor markets also. There really is a war for talent worldwide, in which the countries that are going to succeed are the countries that are best able to attract and maintain the most skilled and able workforce. And that is obviously, globalization has obviously affected the content of our business school curricula, where we've tried to place more emphasis on, obviously, global companies and global types of issues. Oh, well, it's an amazing, I think it's an amazing story. I think IESE is really very much a strong community, and you can feel that in a variety of different ways, and it's a very caring place. Last year when we were here, my wife had flown over and had a cold and had gotten an ear problem, and Jordy, the Canals, the dean, was so kind in arranging for her to go to a clinic. And then when the first clinic was not sufficient to deal with her problem, arranging for her to see some very fancy ear specialist and making the logistics so sweet and wonderful. And I think there really is in 100 different ways, and you can feel it. Part of it is Spanish hospitality, and part of it, I think, is what is unique to IESE, the sense of community and the sense of a caring culture. So in that small way, and in a variety of ways, we've always felt very welcomed here. Well, I think if you look at most organizations and most business school programs, they focus either on some functional specialty like finance or marketing, or when they do take a perspective on general management, it's from the perspective of strategy. And strategy is great, but strategy that isn't executed is not worth, of course, anything. So what getting things done combines is an emphasis on, first of all, measurement and accounting, but from accounting and the balanced scorecard and a management accounting set of issues. It also focuses on interpersonal dynamics, and it focuses on power and influence and building social networks. So it really is a focus on implementation. And even though implementation seems like a simple and obvious subject, and in many respects it is also probably really the thing that separates those organizations that are most successful than the ones that aren't. It's all actually about implementation. And if you think about it, the game of football is a very simple game. You're supposed to go down the field and kick the ball in the net. The strategy is relatively simple, kick the ball in the net. But the ability to do that is what separates the great teams from the not so great. My new book is called What Were They Thinking? Unconventional Wisdom About Management. And what inspired me to write it was really how many mistakes businesses make on a regular basis. Mistakes about how they manage their people and assumptions that they make that are really not justified at all. For example, I think most people believe that the best way to success is to cut wages, which will cut costs. But that isn't true. In many instances, the most profitable airlines in the world pay the highest. Some of the highest paid countries are the most competitive. So, for instance, everybody thinks China and India are the most competitive countries, but according to the World Economic Forum, actually one of the most competitive countries in the world is Finland, of all places, which has, of course, strong labor unions and has very high wages. I think what many organizations fail to do is look at feedback effects. So if you pay people very little, you don't get very good quality people. If you cut people's wages, you basically decrease their motivation. If you have people make lots of decisions about their benefits, which they are now doing in the US, they have less time to spend on work. If you cut people's retirement benefits, which has also gone on in the United States, people can't afford to retire and so they won't. And so I think companies have not been very good at thinking about the longer term consequences of what they do. And that's basically what motivated me to write the book.